Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to do my weekly update on our book club book, which is The Reading Group by Elizabeth Noble. This book has approximately 466 pages and is published by Coronet. What it says on the cover. Okay, so this book, let me see. Okay, I want to read it back. It says, "New beginnings, a glass of wine, a gossip, and a good book. The reading group is born. Caught in the middle, its members are as different as the books they read, but each woman has secret hopes and fears. For a new lover, straying husband, an ailing mother, a tearaway teenager, and each woman finds laughter and support in the group's monthly meetings. Happy ending. A warm, funny, touching novel about a group of women learning to read between the lines." Okay, now that premise really does catch me somewhat. But I'm going to say I haven't read my full 105 pages, which is the week's worth of reading, but I'm not that far off it, and I plan on reading it after I finish this video. The first couple of chapters, or pages I guess you can say, were very confusing for me. The book is set up in a way that it's not so much chapters, it's like the book that they're reading. And I thought this would be cool because, you know, they'll talk about the book and they'll talk about stuff like that, and they'll be like discussing it and also, you know, interweaving it between each other. But it got to the point where they had the book club and the following pages were just people talking. There wasn't any he said, she said, Marcy said, etc., etc. It was just talking, and it was really confusing because I had to read it again to try and figure out who was saying what, and that really annoyed me because I don't want to have to do that. I want to be able to read this book and understand what's going on. Another thing is that I don't know why, but I picked up 3 books recently that have characters in it who have very similar names in very similar situations, and it was very confusing as well. I think that's just mainly on my part. But there's only so many Rogers I can take without me being confused, especially after reading another book with a Roger in it, and then there was a Dan in it, and 2 Daniels as well, like in the same family, and I got confused about that too. Now the storyline is interesting though, like it's a little bit overdone, you know, in the way that it's a typical chick lit book, I guess, for me so far. Nothing of real substance has happened. It's your basic cookie cutter book so far. But it's interesting. I don't know why. I think it's maybe her writing style, which took me a bit to get into, but I'm actually quite enjoying it. And I don't know, like, that's how I feel when I read this book. Like, I feel like I want to read it, and it's really interesting, and I can't stop reading it. But at the same time, it's dull. It's cookie cutter. I don't know if you guys ever feel that way about a book, that it's just, you want to keep reading, but it's nothing fantastic, but you still want to know what happens. Or, you know, you just enjoy the experience, even though it's not the best thing you've ever read. Like, I've had no revelations or anything like that. I've connected with some of the characters. I actually do like that there's a lot of character depth, and they each have a bit of their own story, which is good because there's, like, a lot of characters, and that's the thing, if you are getting into this book, there are a lot of characters in a short span of time. Some characters might go for 2 pages and it'll be another character. And it's all these people, and there's the women and the men and some of the children, and it's sometimes a little bit too much, but it's interesting to see their stories interwoven so far. That's something I find interesting. I like reading books that have multiple personal perspectives, that have stories that are interwoven together, and there are characters that I like to read about more than others. Other characters are still a little bit too flat, but I mean, I'm only like that much into it, and it's like nearly 500 pages, so I dare say that in the next week, I hope that the book picks up and we kind of get into the story a little bit more. My copy has fairly small print, but once I start reading it, I don't even think about it. It's actually quite good to hold, which I'm really happy about. I like the cover. And so, yeah, so that is my perspective so far. I don't really have a great deal to tell you about it because I'm just beginning, really. But for you guys, if you have this book on your shelf or you want to borrow it from the library, now would be a great time to knock this one off the list. That is what I am saying. I am so glad that we picked up this book so that I could knock it off the list. Which sounds a bit harsh, but there's some books that you want to read and you enjoy reading them and you're glad that you did, but you kind of just need to get them off the shelf. Otherwise, they're going to sit there until you're 85, and then it might be a bit irrelevant what they're saying. Because also, another thing, this is kind of dated. It's not like a here and now sort of thing. I think it happens in 2005, but it's kind of has like sort of memory flashbacks in some sort of way. So you're getting some sort of history as well, and like or maybe I'm confusing it with another book, but it's really good. But, you know, like, if I was to read this 20 years later, some of the stuff would be like, oh my god, you use a tape deck, or something like that. Not, you know, or, oh, you know, they were using MP3 players that, when they first came out, or whatnot. You know, that kind of feeling. So I'm really glad I read it now. I love the cover so much that I could probably read this book again. I probably will be keeping this one. I hope I will enjoy it, and that's all I can say to you guys for now because there's nothing else to say, and I will just be babbling on for a couple of minutes. So here is my update video kind of thing. So how are you other girls finding it? Are you going through the same things? I can't wait to watch your videos. Bye guys.